Good evening, everyone. I'm not going to burp just yet. My name is Pragya Bhagat, and I'm just really excited to be here today. Today, I want to share a deeply personal journey with you all. It is a journey that intersects sound, silence, words, and rage. I'd like to begin by offering a trigger warning. I will be briefly speaking about self-harm. First things first, a little bit about myself. I'm a poet, an essayist, an author, and an educator. I practice yoga, I play the violin, I love to dance, I can burp on purpose. And whenever I visit my parents and I sit down for a meal with them, I always plug my ears with headphones. In fact, whenever I spend time with my parents, whether it's going for a walk or watching a movie or simply having a conversation, I am always listening to music. This is because I live with a condition called misophonia. The term misophonia literally translates to a hatred of sound. It is a neurobehavioural condition in which certain sounds trigger one's fight or flight response. The condition is relatively unknown. There is no cure. In fact, it wasn't until 2002 that the term first appeared in a peer-reviewed paper. And it wasn't until 2022 that a consensus definition was reached. I realized what misophonia was in 2016 when I Googled the following 3 words: sound irritates me. The results of this Google search led to 4 characteristics that matched my experience exactly. Number 1, it starts when you're young. For me, it started when I was 7 years old. Number 2, one of one's earliest triggers are people that you spend the most time with. So my earliest trigger was my father, sounds that he created, eventually followed by my mother. Number 3, children that remain undiagnosed often harm themselves because they're unable to deal with what those triggers do. They're unable to deal with the aggression upon being triggered. I used to cry, scream, pinch myself, bang my head against the wall, anything I could do to make those sounds stop. And number 4, off the list of triggers, the K sound was the most common one. I couldn't bear it when my father uttered the K sound, when he whispered, and when he released this long guttural sigh after a satisfying sip of tea. Upon reading more and diving deeper into misophonia research, I found an online community that shared my experiences. I joined a Facebook support group where we discussed bizarre ways in which we had coped with these triggers. Listening to metal music, singing to ourselves, locking ourselves into bedrooms, locking ourselves into bathrooms, screaming into pillows, breaking pencils, stuffing our ears with tissue paper, and wearing noise-canceling headphones just so we could share a meal with our loved ones. I realized through this Facebook group that I wasn't alone, and this understanding was profoundly comforting. Language is power. I do not suffer from misophonia, I live with misophonia. I am not crazy. My needs and boundaries are different from your needs and boundaries. Communicating those differences and normalizing that communication is key. And that's where the magic of writing comes in. I have been writing full-time since 2016, the year of my misophonia diagnosis. In 2018, I published my first book. In 2021, I founded the Poetry Circle, which is a fortnightly space grounded in vulnerability. The idea of the Poetry Circle was simple. We would meet together, we would share stories, and we would support each other. The poetry circle taught me that we all carry stories within ourselves. Stories of pain and joy and struggle and triumph and everything in between. And in sharing these stories, we break the walls that isolate us and build bridges of curiosity and empathy. I write to process my emotions and to understand who I am, what I am, and when I am. And the thing is that writing has been a huge support system for me. I tried to depict this in my second book, which was published in 2022. And in this book, I wrote not just about migration and partnership, but what it was like to live with misophonia and what it was like to love those who lived with misophonia. At one of my book events, an audience member came up to me afterwards and said, "Finally, I realize I'm not alone. I think I have misophonia. Thank you for validating my experience." Her words made me see that in sharing my story, others too felt less alone. As human beings, we crave belonging. It is a fundamental need. And writing is a catalyst to that belonging. I strongly believe that women in particular need to share their words and by extension, their voices. We have generations of rage within us. And all our lives, we've been trained to suppress and to mask that rage. We've been told to be nice, be kind and generous and smile and tolerate pain and absorb suffering, and you are stronger than you think you are. Language is power. I do not want to be strong. I want to be human. I want to be accepted for all of me, especially the emotions that I'm denied. One of the worst things about misophonia is that it pushes me away from the people I care about the most. That makes me angry. Let me be angry. When my mother accepts that I need to walk away from a trigger and that I'll return when I'm calm again, that makes me hopeful. Let me be hopeful. Let me be all of me. What I need to do in order for that to happen is to write, and what you need to do is to listen. I'd like to conclude with a poem that I wrote about misophonia. Listen. You want to listen to those you love. The more you listen, the more you want to leave. You do not want to leave. So you allow the noise to grate in your head, an exponential nails on chalkboard opposite of ASMR situation, intersecting lanes of sound and touch and noise lighting up your brain. The pain has no origin, but it hurts. You know this for a fact. It hurts. Listen. You are 7 years old. Your father is booking a flight from San Francisco to Osaka. It is nighttime, he is on the phone, and his whisper morphs into monster San Francisco, Osaka, Cisco, Saka, Coca, Coca, Coca. You scream. Stop talking. Please stop talking. Your father believes you are sensitive. You believe you are broken. Listen. You learn to read lips while your hearing is intact. You dream of being deaf. How easy that would be. You write notes on slips of paper. During dinner, music is your armor, headphones are your shield. And today's Spotify playlist is called Howdy because you want to conjure the joy you do not feel. This is how you love. On some days, you sit alone, gulping guilt, wishing for an end to Papa's whisper, to Mummy's prayer. On most days, you don't want to talk about mental health like it's a medicine. Maybe the yoga helps, maybe nothing does. And in this story you didn't choose, you are both the hero and the villain. Every once in a while, you win. On most days, you don't. This is who you are now. Love her. Hold her. Tell her you're listening. It's all she asks for. Thank you.